So here's the deal. We have CM Punk in the studio joining the Soscia Network here on Mix 106.1. Raw in town tonight. Tickets as low as $20. ComcastTix.com. You want to get tickets, you can walk up to the box office, too. It's going to be a huge show. And CM Punk, after a big night last night, comes to us from Baltimore, and it looked like a car wreck that you're in. And I was complaining. I was afraid to come and do the interview this morning because I was like, I can't watch the pay-per-view. I'm going to have to get up early and come and do the interview. Yeah, right?
Yes, a car wreck is precisely how I would describe that.
Any injuries from last night? How do you feel?
No, I don't think anything's broken. I've been working with a broken hand for about a month and a half now. So coming out of last night, I'm relatively in better shape than I planned on being, honestly.
Well, that's definitely good. I mean, it was, again, like a car wreck. I saw the one, you look like you smacked your head pretty good on that chair when you came down. How's that feeling?
Yeah, the back of my head, both elbows. I thought about this as I was coming from Baltimore to Philly. The scene in Indiana Jones where he's on the cargo ship and they think they got away, and he tells Marion, she's like touching him, and he's like, ow, everything hurts. And then he points to 3 points on his body that don't hurt. That's how I feel right now.
I was thinking when I saw you last night, I had all this stuff prepared for today, and I'm like, oh, he's hurt. He hit his head pretty hard. He's not going to come in. Oh, I was all nervous.
Oh, no.
And
here I am.
I couldn't believe you're here.
This is what I do.
What we're going to do is Christmas with CM Punk today.
Okay.
I got a bunch of gifts for you here.
Tremendous.
All right. This first gift, people heard you were coming in. That's what happened. And they started sending gifts like crazy. This is from Matilda, the British Bulldog's bulldog.
Oh, wow.
And they say it's for your dog, Max. You have a dog, Max?
I do now. Matilda, you would have thought she'd have passed on by now.
No.
I'm opening this right now?
Yes.
Yeah?
It's like Tiger Mask. There's a bunch of them. It just keeps coming.
Okay.
There's more than one
All right.
Matilda.
Well, this is nice. All right, I got some canine curry outs. What is that? Carry outs. I can't read.
I don't know. It was $2.99, so it was the cheapest thing in the store.
Beef flavor, dog snacks.
Do you have a dog?
Do I? No, I can't take care of it. I can barely take care of myself. I have plenty of surrogate dogs.
All right, because on Twitter, Twitter is amazing. I mean, you can find out anything you want. Obviously, it's not the right news all the time, but somebody was tweeting me saying you had a dog named Max and that Daniel Bryan has a dog named Asparagus. And
he does have a dog named Asparagus, which is a great name.
This is all from Twitter at WWE. I mean, you can find out anything you want at CM Punk.
Yep.
But obviously, it's not right. So we'll just move on to the next gift.
I have a surrogate dog named Mackenzie, so I'm thinking maybe that's where.
One of those crazy fans figured that out, and they tweeted me about it, I guess.
Maybe. I don't know.
They got Max.
I thanked Mackenzie at the Slammies. I thanked all dogs at the Slammies, because that's what I do. But, I will put these to good use.
Yeah, give it to you. Don't eat them yourself.
Thank you, Matilda.
Well, listen, let me ask you, though. Speaking of Matilda, so you're like me. I mean, you've been following it your whole life.
Yes.
And what do you think was the first, storyline that really got you as a kid? You turn the TV on, you hear all these stories, and then someone says, this is what hooked me. What hooked you?
I think everyone just being larger than life, I always say the, Piper and Snuka and the coconut and, but it's like all those memories kind of bleed into one after a while. And I just remember just being like, man, this is just crazy, watching all these guys and all the monsters Hogan used to fight. And, Randy Savage was, obviously the man
who you pay tribute to. It seems like you got is that where the 4 stars came from?
The 4 star. My tights are the Chicago flag.
Okay,
the 4 stars on the Chicago flag. But it's an homage a little bit to Randy, and just everyone was bigger than the world. It seemed.
And now you're one of those guys, man.
Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty humbling that you think.
But you're
that.
just you,
I
though.
appreciate it.
Right?
Yeah, I really am. That's it. That's the wild thing about it is that's what really blows my mind is I kind of got into this because I was a G.I. Joe fan and I they all had code names and real names and and I just wanted a code name. I didn't understand why I couldn't just live life like my favorite superheroes or cartoon characters and stuff like that. So I just decided I could, and I did.
What did your parents say when you decided you want to get into wrestling? Were they behind you?
No, they didn't. I don't think they ever supported the idea or supported me until all of a sudden I was, I guess, famous, which I don't really think I am. I try to downplay it as much as I can. I realize the scope of how I'm seen and everything, but yeah, I don't think they really cared until I was, in the WWE.
Look, you're international. I mean, let's be real now. I'm a guy here in Philadelphia who's on the air, and people come to me from high school. This is where I grew up, this area, and they come to me and they say, "Oh, you're a big star." So I know how you feel. Again, I'm not. You're obviously on TV, but I just feel like I'm me. It's a weirdest. I know what you mean. It's kind of a weird feeling. So I can't imagine how you feel like that.
Right. Like I'm not like the Situation from the Jersey Shore.
Would you really want to be?
Who like all of a sudden got like ridiculously rich, and he thinks he can boss people around and like have all these ridiculous demands. Like I'm very much in tune of where I came from and like how hard I worked to get here, and I appreciate it. And I don't think a guy like that really is. I think he's handed all this stuff, and and I can use him as an example because I can kick his ass. So.
Are you talking about wanting a code name because you're into G.I. Joe, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that leads me to my next question. You obviously work with Sergeant Slaughter.
Yes.
What does he say about your G.I. Joe tats?
Well, loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It blows my mind every time I see Sarge in the locker room.
Did you run up to him and show him? Or
Oh yeah. I mean, he knows. I always see him, Sergeant, and I salute him, and it's great because that's twofold. Like he's a G.I. Joe guy, and he was a hell of a pro wrestler. So it's, I mean, talk about somebody that I look up to.
Was he one of your favorites growing up?
I mean, when I was growing up, like he was kind of out of sight, out of mind until he did the whole Iraqi sympathizer thing.
And people hate. And I thought that was when I was a little kid. I thought it was great when I was a kid. Now I see, but then I thought it was great. I mean, what did you think of that as a kid?
Man, I mean, he was getting death threats and stuff like that. That's tremendous.
That's what I think. The same thing.
That was his job, and he did it great.
It's so up in arms. It's just simply his job. He's doing it. He's doing it well. So he must be doing. When I was a kid, when he threw that fireball in Hogan's face,
awesome.
Oh my God, the smell of napalm in the morning.
I want to throw fireballs at people.
You should throw one tonight.
I might.
I'm going to be like third row. So
I'm coming real close to spit and mist throwing fireballs.
Oh, you should definitely do the mist. All right, let's get your next gift out.
All right.
This is from Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Of course it is. Gee, I wonder what it's gonna. This is a beer. No, I think it's a beer. This is from the old Steven Rattlesnake.
It's a peace offering from Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Is it?
Yes.
Let's see what it is here. Oh, Steven went and got me Pepsi.
Yeah, he was, this whole WrestleMania thing that people have been told, that mic's horrible.
Yeah, I know. It's okay, but, I break everything I touch. It's all right.
This whole WrestleMania thing, everyone's been talking about, is it going to be Austin versus Punk again? And now people are talking Jericho versus Punk, so I think he just wants you to do the Jericho thing. How do you feel about that? Who would you like at WrestleMania this year?
Who would I like at WrestleMania this year? Well, I'll explain it to you like this. Steve Austin, the biggest star in the wrestling business, period. Bigger than Hulk Hogan by a landslide, I might add. I don't think Steve is going to come out of retirement for anything less than the main event of WrestleMania, nor should he.
No, you're right. I totally agree.
And when you talk about a guy like Dwayne should not come back for anything less than the main event of WrestleMania. So, the main event of WrestleMania was booked in stone a year ago. It's old Dwayne versus John Cena. It is what it is. And I'm not guaranteeing anything, but, we got a while until Mania, and then we got a whole 365 days until WrestleMania 29. And I think I can talk a lot of trash and maybe coax Steven into putting the boots on one more time. But I'm not promising anything, and I'm sure he gets annoyed when I talk about it. But, I got to be me.
You're keeping his name in the news. He's not getting annoyed.
Yeah, I appreciate the Pepsi, Steven, but it's not going to save you from a GTS.
All right, so, but now on Twitter, I feel like, first of all, you posted that video I saw, which was great. You retweeted it, the video where some fan made. I think it was your Twitter. It was awesome. It was, how cool. And I saw that and I got excited.
Yeah, right. I mean, I did too. That's why I retweeted it.
What's it like? I mean, again, a fan my whole life. I can't imagine what it would be like coming out at WrestleMania. Can you put that into words, that feeling with all those? How much difference for you than, let's say, a Raw?
I had somebody ask me yesterday if I ever get nervous. This somebody doesn't really know a whole lot about what I do. Somebody I recently met, and I hate kind of explaining it to people. When I meet somebody that doesn't know who I am, I get excited. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is fantastic. I don't have to talk about work. I don't have to explain anything. I don't have to answer questions. I just get to be me. But I was explaining to her that no, I don't really get nervous. Maybe I can count on one hand how many times I get nervous a year. I love high pressure situations. I mean, I thrive on it. It makes me feel alive. So when I do get nervous, I take it in stride, and it just lets me know that I still love this. WrestleMania is one of those times I get nervous because, I mean, it is the biggest show of the year. All eyes on you, 70 to 80,000 people, and not to mention all the people around the world watching you live. When you think about it, it gets kind of daunting, but, I love those situations. It's like, hell yes, everybody look at me, watch me rise,
Watch what I can do. I once heard a guy who used to be in WWE, he's not there anymore, but he said that it's kind of like butterflies he would get in his stomach. And he said when he didn't have those butterflies, it would worry him. And I always thought that was interesting. But what do you think is the last time? Was it WrestleMania that you were nervous before you went through the curtain? Little butterflies?
Nervous. See, I don't want to confuse being nervous with being excited.
Excited, I should say. The butterfly feeling.
I'm going to say last night. I mean, I felt it last night. High pressure situation. No John Cena on the pay-per-view. CM Punk is the champion.
You're kind of the guy.
I'm the guy. I'm supposed to carry the load.
Yeah.
And I take that responsibility extremely seriously. Even though there's guys in the locker room that I've been wrestling with for 10 years, I still look at them as my crew. I take it very seriously. I look at myself. I'm the general on the ground, and I'll be the first one on the ground, and I'll be the last one, off. And we're going to war. That's the way I look at it. So I very much take my responsibility as a leader very seriously. So, I had to go out there and show them that, it's not like we don't need John Cena sort of thing, but, and John gets it.
Yeah, you want to rise up and show that you can carry the ball, not just John Cena. I think that's very
absolutely.
Fair. And I agree with that 100%.
I would say mission accomplished. I think last night was a huge step for me.
I was getting text messages from friends last night that did not order the pay-per-view. They were like, oh, my God, why did we miss it? Why did we miss it? Now they're all looking like with the replays coming on and stuff. All right, let's go to your next present. This is from John Cena.
Oh, good.
Yeah, this is from John Cena. Speaking of the devil.
Try to guess what this is.
Can I try to guess? Don't cut yourself.
Jeez, what did he get me? It's not a butterfly knife.
No.
Huh. I have no idea what this could be. It's not. Oh, he wrote his name on too. That's cute. This is maybe it's one of his CDs.
No, you're right. I don't know if they put them in the bargain bin.
It is a what is this? An X-ray of a hand, and it's flicking me off. Why would John do that?
Well, that was in response to the X-ray that you released on Twitter.
Yeah.
And which I saw that. And I wanted to ask you about that. When you go in to get your X-ray, right, for your hand, which you pointed out earlier, you said it's probably broken, right?
Yeah.
Definitely? Man. So you went in and you do this. You do the Cena thing, right? In the X-ray.
Well, I mean, it's not the Cena thing when you're getting X-rays.
Oh, I don't know.
I can't remember exactly what they call it, but it's actually a way to differentiate all the metacarpals and all that to see what's fractured and stuff. It's standard procedure.
You're throwing me off here. I was excited. I'm like, you walk in. What did the doctor say?
Taunting
did you
John.
tell the doctor you wanted to do a John Cena pose?
No, they told me. You take one flat, you take one sideways, and then you do that, and you fan all your fingers out so they can see them all.
And just decided to tweet it. See, that's why Twitter's great.
Standard procedure. I laughed and I was like, oh, it's like Cena's thing. And
that was brilliant. That was better than putting the WWE title in the refrigerator. I thought that was good too. All right, last one.
All right, I can't wait to hear who this is from.
You couldn't guess.
I'm going to guess it's Kim Jong-il. No,
we talked about that. No, we talked about that earlier, but no. Just take a guess. You're never going to guess it.
TA?
Yeah.
My buddy Tim Armstrong?
No, not Timmy Armstrong. I'm sure he played stickball with him and Bobby McShankleby, but not them. It's Tony Atlas.
Oh,
Tony Atlas gave you a present.
So this is clearly going to be athletic tape. So it's clearly
not any athletic tape. Not any.
Awesome.
He wrote all over it.
He did. He did.
What? I mean, if you want to share it, you can. But can you share what happened? Because I've heard so many stories about that. Can you tell us what happened? You off television down in developmental system.
You know what it boils down to is like a misunderstanding. Tony was unfortunately they're a victim of backstage OVW politics, and I mean the true story is Al Snow for whatever reason hated the Major Brothers, who is now Kurt Hawkins, and the Broski Zack Ryder, and would give them grief. And these guys were on the road, working house shows. And if they weren't, they were doing both TVs. They were doing Raw and they were doing ECW on Tuesdays, and they would get back and do OVW TV. And then they weren't released from developmental yet at the time, so Al would make them do like the weekend shows. Oh. So yeah, I mean, like they didn't get a break, and they're hardworking kids. And for some reason, Al had a boner for them, and he just constantly give them grief and treat them like crap. And they had their wrists taped. And, it turned into this big thing where you would try to hassle them about it, and like, oh, what happens when you have a taped fist match? Stuff nobody cares about.
Psychology.
Yeah.
Old-timer psychology.
So it was a thing, and then Tony was down there talking to the kids about saving your money and, doing all that stuff. And I was still living in Louisville at the time, and I went down there to help out, and I wound up working a dark match main event, and I had my wrists taped. Because I obviously do.
Foul.
And I didn't know any of this was going on. Yeah. I was there on my day off. I thought I was being a nice guy. And Tony comes up to me and starts talking about the wrist tape, and I didn't know what was I didn't know what was going on. And then Tony says to me, he's like, if you don't listen to your coach, I'm going to write you a bad report, and you're never going to get called up to TV. And I was just like, what?
Samba Simba? What?
I was like, I can't win this fight. And I said, thank you, sir. I appreciate the advice. I'll take it into consideration, because I'm not going to be like, I'm on television. I'm the ECW champion, right. And it turned into a big thing. And
I was always curious about that because I read about that. But again, I'm different. I'm so weird. Like, I like the old gimmicks. I would have been so excited just to meet Samba Simba.
I just saw Tony last Monday at the Slammies.
Doing the
I was in the hotel gym in the morning doing sprints, and he popped his head in, and we had a cool 10-minute conversation. So
all's well and good with you and Tony.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, like he was just down there, and he was a victim of Al Snow's weird OVW politics, trying to make the Major Brothers feel like dirt for whatever reason.
Got you. Well, Zack Ryder's doing great now, and
yes, he is.
Kurt Hawkins is also fun.
And I'm sure Al Snow probably takes credit for that now.
Yeah, well, that's life in the wrestling business.
It is.
The last thing I'll tell you too is that we tried to include Colt Cabana in this, but he would just refuse to celebrate Christmas. We couldn't figure out what was going on.
Well, he is Jewish.
Oh,
yeah.
As a matter of fact, when I started this, I felt like saying I was live in the studio apartment.
For the podcast.
Shout out to Colt. He does good stuff. Well, look, it's all about Raw tonight, right here in Philadelphia, Wells Fargo Center. Tickets as low as $20. Comcast Tix, that's TTIX.com, or you can go to the box office. You're pretty excited about tonight. You're returning after the big pay-per-view TLC last night to Philly as the champion for the last time this year. What can the people expect?
Well, I heard a rumor that there might be a champion versus champion match, and no, unfortunately, it's not going to be Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan. Whoops.
No,
and I don't know. It might change. It always does. I think I might be taking on Cody Rhodes tonight.
Hey, that'd be a great match, man.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to see
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I like to think I bring the best out in people, and Cody's a guy that I've barely had a few matches with, but when we did, it's been great, and I think the crowd in Philly is ready to see it, and no matter how beat up I am, I will give them a show.
And you're kind of a hometown boy, right? I mean, you not hometown, you're from Chicago, but you lived in this area for a while, right?
Yeah, I lived here for 3 years. So.
KOP.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
This is the I mean, I always say I kind of have three homes because I've lived I lived a lot of places in my life, but the three main ones were obviously Chicago, Louisville, Kentucky, and Philly. So it's good to be home.
Let me ask you one more thing. Philadelphia, you're from this area. Before you got to WWE, obviously, I mean, you probably wore your Ribera steakhouse jacket around and did everything fun. And
never had a Ribera jacket.
Why not?
Never had because I never wanted one.
Oh, I always wanted one of them.
But I never got a Ribera jacket until this last tour of Japan I just did.
Oh well, you got one now. What color?
It's black and red.
Will you wear it around, or do you feel like because it's kind of not that hip of a design? You know what I mean?
I don't care. I doubt I'll wear it, but
it's cool to have.
It was just one of those things that like everyone else was always getting, and I was just like, I'm not going to get one, because that's my style.
Well, that was totally an offshoot but what I want to ask you is Philadelphia. You've wrestled here before. ECW Arena. I don't know if you've heard.
Yep.
They're closing it down to all wrestling.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's going to do concerts. How do you feel about that?
It's not my call. I don't own the building, but like if I had a building and I was renting it out to people who wanted to give me money to use it, I don't know why I would exclude anybody.
Yeah.
I got a feeling it might change. Maybe the fans will be vocal enough about it, and something will give. But and hopefully it does, because it's always been
it's a staple in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
I'm hoping.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing that ever happened in that building in my life is that's where I met Joey Mercury.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's and we're family now, so that's the cool part about that building for me.
There's a lot of memories there for a lot of people. Again, memories hopefully created tonight. Wells Fargo Center, $20 for all tickets. ComcastTix.com. Could see champion versus champion. CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes. He tells us. So I'm waiting to see it. I'll be there, and hopefully you will be too. You got to get out. It's going to be such a good time, right, Mr. Punk?
Absolutely, the best time you could possibly have in Philadelphia on a Monday night.
Yes, definitely. Thanks again for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Cool.